disclosure, news and commentary. It's the fourth one of 2025. We're excited. I'm on a break from work. I'm wearing a hat of one of my other jobs. Um, yeah. What time is it? It's like 3 a.m. I got a little break from work, so I thought I would drop a full disclosure. The thing I'm going to open with, I think I'm just going to talk about one main wrestling topic. That's what I feel like talking about now. But first, I'm going to talk about Queen of the Ring. So I'm one of the people who read the book. Maybe the only person who read the book. Mildred Burke. I'm a big Mildred Burke fan. Love Mildred Burke. I'm shocked that they're making a movie about her. Do I think she's worthy of a movie? I think she's more worthy of a movie than the fucking Von Erichs were. That's how worthy she is of a movie. I'm not saying the Von Erichs weren't worth a movie. I'm just saying that movie kind of sucked. I know we were excited to see a wrestling movie, but the Von Erich movie, Iron Claw, it was the worst Ric Flair fucking take in the history of Ric Flair takes. Your dumb, drunken friend does a better Ric Flair than happened in that movie. No Chris Von Erich. Like, to take a biopic, there's liberties, and then there's complete restructurings of reality. And once you get into the realm of a complete restructuring of reality to the point where people who existed don't exist anymore, I think you're doing a shitty job with a fucking biopic. It's one thing to de-emphasize Chris Von Erich. It's another thing to just pretend he did not fucking exist. At that point, I don't think you're in the realm of a biopic. I think you're in the realm of historical fiction, which is a whole different thing. I did not like Iron Claw. I suspect I will like Queen of the Ring. The Mildred Burke story is incredible. I'm going to go with my kids. It's only playing in 2 theaters in the Orlando area, which means it's not getting any kind of wide release, but it is playing at Disney Dine-In, which is one of those places where you go in, watch the movie, and you can order food and eat during the movie. So I'm excited. I've never done Disney Dine-In, even though it's at Disney Springs, which is where one of my other jobs is located. And I'm taking the kids. At least the one who's able to go. And I'm excited because Mildred Burke, I think her story, while not widely known necessarily, is such a powerful, interesting one. I hope they include a scene where she has contact with Gorgeous George and her life has kind of gone down. Billy Wolf and others have fucked with her. And so she's having to do hair to make money. And she gets to do Gorgeous George's Marcel when he's in town. And Gorgeous George hears her story and wants her to fight back. So he basically reaches in his pocket and gives her a few $1,000s so she can fight back. And I think there's something really amazing and awesome about that. Yeah. You don't hear those stories about Hulk Hogan, do you? No, of course you don't. So, I mean, such an important and crucial time in wrestling. Mildred Burke. Again, it's just, to be a true groundbreaker, you have to be exceptional. You just have to be super exceptional. If you're going to be, for instance, Jackie Robinson, you have to be a great ball player and basically someone with a bulletproof iron will and the patience of a saint. I mean, Jackie Robinson, such a phenomenal figure, but you got to be the best in everything, right? And Mildred Burke certainly qualified. Mildred Burke, as much as people want to talk about Moolah, because fucking Moolah. I remember all the like Moolah defense that was happening, and I just couldn't help but going, I understand if you had personal contact with Moolah and she helped your career and you think a lot of her, but I mean, the fact is she did a lot of things that were just so shitty that it sort of goes like have to turn a blind eye to that is really pathetic in my opinion. And I get it. It's wrestling. It is what it is. Right. But Mildred Burke, anybody who cannot get behind the Mildred Burke story, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You're heartless. And she's such an integral part of wrestling history, especially as a woman. If you're a female wrestler or somebody who cares about women wrestling and you do not, you should have read the book, but if you're not going to read the book, I think seeing the movie is like the bare minimum you can do. I am looking forward to this movie, even though Jim Cornette's going to be in it. He's going to be fucking terrible in it, too. Topic at hand. I'll just be blunt about it. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about this 40-miler bullshit. Now, there's always been, and I will cop to this, full disclosure. Of course, as long as there's been pro wrestling, especially independent pro wrestling, I'm sure people have made this clear distinction between we're doing things in a proper manner or a real manner. We're not shitbirds, they're shitbirds, right? There's always been that, and there will always be that. And I get that. But I gotta say, as I'm no longer actively involved in pro wrestling, when I see somebody, especially people who, a lot of the people who are throwing up this bullshit 40-miler distinction. By the way, was Jerry Lawler a fucking 40-miler when he was in Memphis? I guess he was. I'll have to remember to tell Jerry Lawler how shitty he was, and most of the Memphis guys were. I'll have to remember that. I'll have to say how shitty Memphis was, because a lot of those guys just worked exclusively in that area for a very long time. I'll have to remember to tell them how shitty they were. I thought that they were really good and the most influential group of most of the people my age, certainly, who do indie wrestling. But I digress. The 40-miler term is thrown around most frequently by guys who couldn't cut it in wrestling school a week. But yet feel the need to throw stones at guys who basically just wrestle in their area or for their promotion. And you know what? You're allowed to do that. And wrestling is a fantasy-based business. So yes, there are guys with pot bellies who wrestle for a small town in Nowheresville, who still get huge crowds, by the way. But you know what? If that's all they do, that's all they do. It doesn't mean their risk is any less. It doesn't mean that they're less a part of the wrestling business. It may mean that they have less of a chance of getting in the big leagues. And yes, they might be delusional and think, oh, I'm just as good as John Cena or whatever. Guess what? Here's the truth. If you're wrestling on the independent level, chances are you are delusional in some way, shape, or form. And arrogant to beat the band. As I say all the time, when it comes to writers or artists of any stripe or performers or pro wrestlers, you're inherently arrogant, because what you are saying is, what I do is so great, it is worth your time and money. Whenever you're promoting something or telling somebody about what you do, it is an act of arrogance, and that's okay. Performers are arrogant, or they wouldn't be fucking performers. They would do something else. Right? What you're saying is, what I do is so great, it is worth your resources, your time, your money. And whether you're a quote unquote 40-miler or somebody who wrestles in different states, good for you. At the end of the day, it's all beer league softball. Let me say that again. It's all beer league softball. Some leagues in softball might be more competitive than others. Some may take it more seriously than others. Some may enjoy the co-ed aspect of it and just go out and enjoy knocking the ball around and then hanging out with everybody afterwards. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's all beer league softball. No matter how serious some of your friends take it, no matter how many of them go, you know what? I play in a number of leagues in a number of different areas, and that makes me better than you. And I work on my conditioning and look at my body, and I have a hitting coach. Great. But the chances of you making it to a professional level are pretty minute. And even in this day and age, with AEW, at one point it felt like AEW was just hiring people willy-nilly. And, with Ring of Honor aspect and all this, a lot of people have gotten in. And that's fine. But at the end of the day, this notion, I don't like the overall mentality where we feel the need to berate and label someone the other in order to lionize ourselves. That's the aspect of the 40-miler label that I'm just fucking done with. This idea that by proxy, what I'm saying is I am superior because you're just a 40-miler. It would be the equivalent of me going, because I used to run at least a show a week, but for a number of at least 2 years, ran 2 shows a week with an extra show a month. If I walked around and called people who ran 6 shows a year half-dozeners, or people who only did a show a month, just called them once-a-monthers, as a derisive way of saying, yeah, you're not really booking. You're not really booking if you're doing a show a month. You're just doing like an event. And they're sort of strung together by an angle and a storyline, but not really. Because it's not the same as running a show all the time. People used to make the distinction of, well, we're on TV. We're on TV, we matter more. And now the thing is, well, we stream. We stream on IWTV. We stream. At the end of the day, the more that wrestling people look for reasons that they're different from one another than the fact that they're all different shades of beer league softball, they like to think of themselves as the minor leagues, right? No, we're playing AAA ball. But no, you're not. Because in AAA ball, they're just doing a scaled down version of the major leagues. People are getting paid at least something resembling a living wage. They're touring. They're in an organized, competitive thing. There are true championships involved. At the end of the day, most indies, they're putting up a ring, getting shit together. People are getting paid, but a nominal amount. Nobody's one step away, except for the people that are. And you know what I notice is the people that are truly on the verge of getting signed by one of the true big leagues. They're the ones that I never see use the term 40-milers derisively. The ones I see using the term 40 miles derisively, all they've done is expand their circle a few miles and feel the need to knock somebody else down so they can feel like they're the king of the shit pile. Just something to think about. And I will say something that's been told to me by more than one person that I respect. Focus on yourself. You'll be a lot better off. This has been Full Disclosure. Go see Queen of the Ring. And I am going to do a written review comparing the book and the movie, which means I need to read the book again. I'll do that today.